Okay, thank you. So, what are the European Union initiatives supporting innovations in public collections? Well, let's first of all talk about digital transformation and artificial intelligence. It's high on the agenda of European policy making because it's needed, as it was said also in the welcoming speeches. There is an AI innovation package and an AI Act, so AI legislation on AI at European level to increase transparency requirement also so that people know when something has been written by artificial intelligence or has to be labeled, for example. Then at the Council also, during the EU Presidency of Belgium, there were Council conclusions on empowering the cultural and creative sectors through data-driven audience development and a policy debate on AI. Then the European Parliament also has done a few resolutions with specific calls on artificial intelligence. And also the new Commissioner for Culture has in his mandate letter that he should work on an artificial intelligence strategy for the cultural and creative industries. So that's in Commissioner Mikalev's letter, but first he has to succeed in his hearing, so yes, that will be soon. There are two flagship projects at EU level to support the digital transformation of the cultural heritage sector, the European Collaborative Cloud for Cultural Heritage and the Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage. So let's go to the cloud first, European Collaborative Cloud for Cultural Heritage. It's a digital infrastructure to connect cultural heritage institutions and professionals across the EU. There will be digital collaborative tools for the sector. Also one aim is to also connect smaller and remote institutions and to help cultural heritage sector work with the digital objects in a more visible, interconnected, harmonized and informed way. The funding comes from the Horizon program of the EU, and there are 5 new calls to which you can apply. They are open until 22nd of January 2025. So just to see what happened so far in this European Collaborative Cloud for Cultural Heritage. In the work plan of last year, it was basically to put in place the basic architecture and the data model of governance model. Now, this year, as I said, it's about research and developing basic tools, so that's why there are also these open calls in January. And next year, it's to test it, to see does it actually work, what has been designed, real work, test it with people, and to see whether it's actually working. So in case you're interested to apply to some of the open calls, here are the topics. They are still open until January, so it's about innovative tools for documenting, interlinking and organizing data, also for tools for digitization and analysis of dynamic processes, objects and complex combined data, then for advanced data enrichment, then maybe it's more for museums, high-value interactions with visitors and heritage objects, libraries and other students. And then innovative tools for the study, conservation and restoration of heritage objects. So you can find these calls at the EU Funding Attendance portal, and they're open until January. So this European Collaborative Cloud, it actually has started to work. The consortium, it already is in action. It has 51 partners. The consortium's name is ECHOIS. They have a website. They can find all the information about it here. Among the 51 partners, there's also people who are maybe present here in the room from NEMO, ICOMOS, NCAC. So if I hear from NEMO, ICOMOS, NCAC. No, yes. Well, if not, you can find information on the website and contact them directly. Yes, well, we are going to hear more about the different projects which are funded under Horizon Europe, the soon, this afternoon, you will have your presentations, so that will be very interesting to all of us. Now, the Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage. What is this? Why did it come about? So there was a Commission recommendation in 2021 on a Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage, which invites EU member states to set clear digitization and digital preservation goals. So the goal, one of the goals is by 2030, member states are encouraged to digitize in 3D all monuments and sites deemed at risk. 50% of the most physically visited cultural heritage monuments, buildings and sites, and pay special attention to specific categories of heritage assets with low levels of digitization. So that's the goal. Now, this European common data space for cultural heritage, it should accelerate digital transformation, infrastructure, digital strategies, trustworthy sharing of heritage data across Europe. It's built on the work of ReAImagining initiative. I mean, of course, the underlying idea is not to leave everything to platforms across the Atlantic, but also to, to build our own data spaces in Europe, where we are also owning the data and have transparency of where the data goes. This is funded under the Digital Europe program. So one such example is the Twin It campaign. So there is a pan-European collection of emblematic, high-quality 3D digitized heritage assets. They have been presented, and you can visit them on this link in an online collection. Yes, get involved, join the Cultural Heritage Cloud community, join the Europeana Network Association, Europeana Pro. If you're still wondering what are the difference exactly between the cloud and the data space and the European Open Science Cloud, so all these clouds, you can watch it. There's a recording of a webinar that was done recently to explain that more in detail. There's also a fact sheet which can be used if you want to convince your politicians, for example, to participate. So you can print a fact sheet which explains in easy terms and pictures what the different concepts are. Now, in general, about digital transformation and artificial intelligence, as one of the speakers already said before, of course there are impressive opportunities with artificial intelligence, but of course also terrible challenges, in particular concerning access to technology and data, main problem of course. Then the creators' rights, jobs, skills, the competition we are facing there, the promotion and preservation of cultural diversity, the different business models that are behind some of these initiatives, transparency and ethical questions. So this is why Europe has stepped up also in terms of regulation, with the Artificial Intelligence Act, the EU copyright reform, the EU Digital Services Package, and also a recommendation for a common European data space for cultural heritage. Well, on a more practical term, not so legislative now, do you know the Creative Innovation Labs? Maybe, yes. Because actually it's under Creative Europe. We usually get funding more on the music side or performance or media, but museums and libraries, you could also use it increasingly. It's a call which comes up every year, so you can prepare for next April, that's usually the deadline. It's about virtual worlds, innovative business tools and greener practices. Why not? It's, yes, so as I said, there is time. This is from last year, but there is, of course, another call also for 2025. And then there is also something called the European Digital Innovation Hubs. So that's something else. It's about digitization. There are about 200 such one-stop shops all over Europe. Also public funded. I mean, it's there are also public funded organizations participating. Here, if you go to their website, you can select the topic, the country, the sectors, and you can see how you can benefit from them, because actually their services are, I think, almost for free, and they are there to help with digitization. It can also help you. In general, there are so many EU funding opportunities. We talked today about Horizon Europe, we talked about Creative Europe program, the structural funds, of course, they are very important for heritage, for funding heritage restorations. There are also other funding opportunities, for example, under Erasmus. Many exchanges take place also in the cultural field of the Erasmus. Then there's KIC, the Knowledge and Innovation Community, Culture and Creativity. Invest EU, structural funds. Well, last time, in the last funding period, we got an increase. We don't know what's going to happen in the next funding period. Negotiations are ongoing. We really hope that also this time there will be, we can maintain the money or maybe even increase it for cultural heritage and culture, but for this we need your help actually. So please, please tell your politicians that it's important to continue funding cultural heritage. Yes, so I just wanted to say under Invest EU, that is a loan program. There's also a lot going to culture. Actually, out of the 258 million budget, 2.5 billion go for cultural and creative sectors financing. So it's a loan, you have to pay it back, but it's under good conditions. Museums are using it. I'm not sure if you're using it. It's true that Hungary, I think, you have not signed an agreement, but many other member states did sign agreements with their banks. For example, in Belgium, they financed also small museums, like private houses, which needed funding because they were kind of crumbling, and they renovated. Oops, something's happening. Hello? Yeah. Anyway, so they renovated their some historic houses and turned them into small museums, and this they did under the Invest EU funding. So that's another possibility. How to fund funding at EU level? There's so many programs. You can use the Culture EU funding guide, which kind of explains that even under the fisheries program or coal mine transformation, you can actually get access to funding for culture and heritage. And there is Creatives Unite. It's a nice platform for culture and creative sectors together with them. It has also a beautiful funding portal, because the funding there, it's more tailored to individuals. It has also new funding tools like business angels and microcredits and residencies, so it's also a very good advisor. Also has a tool on intellectual property rights and on artists' working conditions. And you can also put in your own initiative there via the contribute button. Yes, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to your presentations.